Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Abhay and I'm a web developer. Today we will talk about how to create a database in Laravel, or more exactly how to create and modify tables in Laravel. If you are more of a written notes person, then stick to the end of this tutorial and I will show you how you can get free notes of this whole tutorial. Here is what you need to know in order to follow this tutorial. First, what is Laravel? Laravel is a frequently used PHP framework nowadays in web development area. You can find a lot about it on internet, and frankly, if you're seeing this tutorial, that means you must know what Laravel is. Second, what is a database? Database is simply a way of storing data of a user, which we use in a website or in a web app. And last but not least, what is PHP This is a software which I'm using to create and to manage databases, but you can use any other. There are many. One example can be Workbench. People who use Mac, they might prefer Workbench. And you can also use Terminal and use raw SQL queries in order to create database. The main idea here is that you should have MySQL installed in your system, because that is what you need in order to create and manage the databases. But for this tutorial, I'm gonna use Windows system, and I'm gonna use PHP Okay, so without losing any more time, let's just get into it. Okay, so as you can see, here is a fresh Laravel installation. All I have done is create a small sample route, a web route. It's called user profile, which will essentially load profile of the user from user controller here, and it will load the user profile from a table called a user underscore profiles, which we'll be creating in a moment in the database. The project is running from the artisan serve, and you can see it here. So slash user profile, if I go, there you are. Here we'll be loading the user profiles. So let's go ahead, first of all, create the database, because first of all we need to create database. So I'm gonna use PHP as I have said before, and you can use anything else like Workbench or even Terminal. So let's create a new database called Laravel. Create. So here we have our database. Now we need to associate this database with our project, and we do it via env file. So we go to env, and these are the variables which associate your database to your project. Now in my case everything remains same, because I just created the name with Laravel. I have root user and I don't have password, but in case you have some other name database, you have to change this. Other database username, you can change this, and if you have password, put it here. Once you've done that, your database should be associated with the project. How do you check it? We check it by running the migrations. Migration. What is a migration? Migrations are simply files in Laravel framework which contains code to create or modify a table in the database. The first question which comes into mind is that why do we need migration? Why can't we create tables the same way we create a database? Well, imagine that you are working and developing a project locally, and then at some point in time you want to deploy a project on a server to make it public. You will have to create all those tables again for that project, and every time you modify locally anything, you will again have to go and modify the exact same changes in the database on the server. Second case scenario, it can be that there are more than one dev working on the project. So every dev needs your project on their local machine. Now everyone needs to have the updated database. So all the time when someone does some changes on their local machine, they will have to propagate those changes among all the colleagues so that they all can have those changes on their databases. Now it is manageable using dump. You can just pass along the dump of the current and most recent database, but when there are more than one person involved in order to develop the project, it can become hectic real fast and confusing. So in order to resolve those confusions, we create these migration files, and then if anybody needs to install the project locally, all they need are these files, and they can just create the tables using those. Of course, we use Git in order to establish a single master branch which contains the finalized structure of these files. But that is out of the scope of this tutorial. If you guys like, please comment below and I can cover Git in another tutorial. So now that we know what migrations are, let's get back to the coding. So here are our migration files. We are gonna create a new one right now from terminal. Let's go to the terminal. I'm using git bash, but a normal window terminal is also fine. So in order to create a normal migration, you use command php artisan make migration, and then you give the name of the migration file. So usually it is create underscore the name of the table which you want to create, and then underscore table. You are giving the name of the migration like this, it will already know that what name of table you need to create. However, if you are creating some other name, it's just best practice to add minus minus create and the name of the table. Like that you are always sure that it will create the structure for you of the table. You will see in a minute what it means. So when I run this command, it has created the migration. You can see it here. So here's the migration. You see that it already has created a basic structure of the table for us, which is id, stamps like created and updated at, and then now we can go ahead and add any other field which we want. Let's add one field called bio, so which will be text because it will hold bio information of the user. So for instance, for the example, I think it's enough. Save it, and let's go to the terminal again, and we are gonna run migrate now, so that it can actually migrate all the tables to the database. Now when you run the php artisan migrate, it actually checks your migration folder, and whatever migrations are here, it creates the table for each and every migration. Now these three come by default with Laravel 6, and this is the one which we just created. So in case you don't need some of them, you can just right click and delete those files. If you need them, you just leave them there. When you run migrate, it's migrating and it has migrated all the 4 tables. Like this, you know that you have successfully attached your database earlier via env. If you have not done that, then it wouldn't find that database, and it wouldn't know where to migrate those files, where to create those tables. Now I have this Laravel, and if I go there, we have files, 4 tables, and the 5th one migration, it actually just keeps track of all the batch of migrations you have run. So right now you have run one migration and it created 4 tables. This is in batch 1. If I go ahead and create another migration and run php artisan migrate again, it will create a batch 2 with that. It keeps this information so that in case you need to roll back your database and go back in time, then it know what it will roll back by batch by batch. Okay, let's add some of the entries in here. So I'm adding one entry, it's called my bo1, and I'm adding one more entry, it's called my bo2, and that's it. Let's go so that we have some data. So now we have this data. Now in order to access this data, we need model is something which controller uses to actually access the data from the table. So we interact with the tables via model. In order to create the model, you need to run php artisan make model, and now as a nomenclature, if you do not want to explicitly define the model to which table it is referring to, you define it in a way like user and profile. So basically, if your name of your table is user profiles, which should be plural always and with underscore, your model will be first letter capital, and then you will remove the underscore and you will make the second, the first letter of each and every word will be capital, and then you will make it singular. So this is how your model is. When you create a model like this, you don't need to tell Laravel that which table is referring to, it already knows. So in the app you have this model. Now this model will already refer to user profiles, so you don't need to explicitly say it. Now we can use this model in order to access the data. You use a model and a controller by giving its namespace, which will be user app user profile, and then here you can say user profiles are user profile all. So I'm taking all of them and I'm converting them to array so that it can be easily printed. And instead of this, now we can just dd the user profiles, save. And now if I go to the browser and I reload, and there you have it, you have two user profiles, might be a one, might be a two. So this is how you create tables. So we just created user profile tables. We inserted some data so that we can access it in the controller. We created model in order to access the data from the controller, and then we included that model in the controller and used that model to access it. So this is how you create a database, and this is how you create the tables inside the database. Other than this, the modification of the table is again something you should know. So let's say that in time you need to add one more field to this table. Let's call that field nickname, for instance. So in order to add one more column nickname of string type, what you will do is you will create one more migration, and you use the same command make migration, and this time you give the name of the migration file like this, add, and then the name of the field, which is nickname, and then you will see to which table, so to user profiles table, and now user profiles like that. And in order for it to understand which table you're referring to, you can explicitly provide the parameter to user profiles. However, if you follow the convention of the name of the migration file, it will automatically uh, target to that table, but it's better to provide explicitly the name so that you be sure. So it created the migration. Now if I go and see, there it is. So it has added add nickname to user profiles. Now all you need to do is just add the field, which will be table string nickname. We will make it nullable, because if there are other entries already exist in the table, you do not want to break it. So either you give a default value or make it nullable, so it will be nullable for the existing entries. And on down you will use table drop column, and then the name of the column. So this is a good place to actually understand what up and down functions are for. So up function runs when you run artisan migrate, so it will just add this thing. Down function runs when you roll back the migration. So if you roll back this change, what you need to do, you need to drop that column, because this is the column which you're adding. Same way, when you are creating a table, the down one will actually drop the table. So when you run migrate, it will create it. When you run rollback, it will drop it. So these two are exactly opposite of each other. So when you are adding something, you need to remove something in the down one. Okay, so our migration is ready. Now we just need to go in the terminal and run php artisan migrate again, and there you go, it migrated. So if I go in our database now and I refresh it, there you have one more column is called a nickname. Now if I give, say, nickname 1, and I don't give anything the second one here, when I refresh, there you go, 5 array nickname 1, and this is not. So this is how you create a database, you create a table, and you modify the table in Laravel. So this is how you create or modify tables in Laravel. Before I get into how you can get free notes of this tutorial, I would like to ask you to hit that like button, to subscribe to my channel, and to on the notification bell not just to support me, but also to increase your chances for any upcoming offers I might have for you, and to don't miss any of my future videos. So in order to get the free notes of this tutorial, all you need to do is follow 3 simple steps. Number 1, watch this tutorial. Number 2, comment on this video whatever you felt about it. If you have any suggestion, if you want me to make any tutorial on a specific topic related to web development. And step number 3, send an email to abhay.maurya.webguy@gmail.com with the subject I want notes dash video URL of this video, and that's it. Every email I receive, I will match the name of the sender to the comment section, and if I find the comment with the same name, well, you got your deal, and I will send back the notes. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, keep coding, friends.